Aloha mai kako. Ha'olila po'alua. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's August 25th, and the time is 2:34 p.m. Will the Committee on Housing, Homelessness, and Parks come to order? I'd like to welcome our committee members, Committee Vice Chair Tolva, Council Members Cordero, Nishimoto, and Weyer. He is here. He's somewhere, but he is here. And if any other council members come in, I will acknowledge them. Pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 92-3.7, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda when each item is taken up in two ways, in person and in the council chamber remotely. Before testifying, each person shall state their name for the record and will be limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who registered to testify in person will be called upon first. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. Once in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to remote testimony via video conference or phone. When I call your name or the last 3 digits of your phone number, please follow the prompt to unmute. As both English and Aloha Hawaii are official languages of the state of Hawaii in the pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Constitution, HRS Section 1-13, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo Hawaii, additional time may be allotted for translation. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires that all votes at a remote meeting be conducted by roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will call for objections, and if there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off your cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Mahalo nui loa. For action items number 1 through 4, members, with your indulgence, I'm going to take them all up at the same time. They are related to gifts to the Department of Parks and Recreation. I will take public testimony on all 4 items together and the votes on each item individually. So I'm going to read all 4. Item number 1, Resolution 26-167, accepting a gift to the city of 1 high back bench grounds preparation and bronze plaque with the inscription donated by the friends and family of Peter Nguyen, valued at $3,848.07 from Martin Nguyen, to be placed at Aina Moana Park at Ala Moana Regional Park. Please note that we posted on the agenda a proposed CD1 to the resolution identified as OCS 2026-0494/8/18/2026 10:34 a.m. and a summary of the amendments was also posted. Item 2, Resolution 26-178, accepting a gift to the city of 2 high back benches, grounds preparation, and 2 bronze plaques with the inscription donated by the family of friends of Jack, the running dock Scaff, valued at $3,999.25 from Donna Scaff, to be placed at Kapi'olani Regional Park. Item 3, Resolution 26-180, accepting a gift to the city of 1 high back bench, grounds preparation, and a bronze plaque with the inscription donated by the family of Ruriko Fujino, valued at $2,718.74 from Anne Fujino, to be placed at Kailua Beach Park. Item number 4, Resolution 26-190, accepting a monetary gift to the city of $4,000 from Friends of Honolulu Parks and Recreation to be used for community benefit projects of the Departments of Parks and Recreation. Here to accept all these wonderful gifts, we have the Deputy Director of Parks, Kehau Pu'u.
Oops. Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Council. On behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation, we just want to mahalo all of these donors for the benches and the monetary gift. We are just very pleased, and we welcome all donations. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Let's go to testimony. Clerks, do we have any in-person registered testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Are there any online registered testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Are there any persons in the council chambers wishing to testify unregistered? Are there any testifiers online unregistered wanting to testify? I don't think so. No.
Chair, there are none.
Okay, and that was testimony for all 4 items. So, members, we are in discussion. Seeing no discussion, we are so grateful to all the donors for their wonderful gifts. I recommend that item number 1, Resolution 26-167, be reported out for adoption. Are there any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. I recommend that item number 1, Resolution 26-167 needs to be amended to the CD1. Are there any objections or reservations? Hearing none, item number 1, Resolution 26-167 is now amended to a CD1. The chair then recommends that Resolution 26-167 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 2, Resolution 26-178. I recommend that we report this out for adoption. Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 3, Resolution 26-180. Recommend that we report this out for adoption. Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 4, the chair recommends that Resolution 26-190 be reported out for adoption. Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Let's move on to item number 5, Resolution 26-174, naming the tennis courts at Kalihi Valley District Park to the Vailima Watson Kalihi Valley District Park Tennis Courts. I don't think we have Councilmember Dos Santos here, but we do have Department of Parks. If you want to go ahead, thank you.
Yes, mahalo. First, we thank Councilmember Dos Santos' office for reaching out and making this recommendation, and we are in full support. We talked with our area staff, park staff, and they are aware of this individual, and we fully support the naming of the tennis courts.
Thank you. Clerks, are there any registered online or in-person testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Are there any persons in the chambers wanting to testify or online? I don't see any hands. Okay, the chair recommends that Resolution 26-174 be reported out for adoption. Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 6, Bill 30, relating to public parks, amending provisions in the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021 relating to the use of city parks for farmers markets and food distribution events conducted by nonprofit organizations. With us, we have Director Laura Thielen.
Good afternoon, committee members. Laura Thielen on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation. We do support Bill 30 and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Council members, any questions for the director? Seeing none, clerks, are there any registered in-person or online testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
I do see an online testifier with a hand raised. If we could please have Mr. Donald Sakamoto.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, City Council. Donald Sakamoto, longtime Kaneohe resident. My dad was a farmer and he grew avocados, bananas, as well as other things. I support this because we need food for our island here on Oahu. We need to have this bill passed, so I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. Clerks, are there any other online testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Any persons in person in the chamber wishing to testify? Seeing none, members were in discussion. Any discussion? I'm very grateful that this bill is coming out of committee. We are definitely encouraging this to happen, especially in parks that are not heavily utilized. We know already that there are parks that this may not work at, and we want to make it work at parks where we have the space and where there is interest for us to increase utilization. With that being said, the chair recommends that Bill 30, 2026, CD1 be reported out for passage on third reading. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 7, Bill 31, CD1, relating to cultural sites in public parks, amending provisions in the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021 to authorize Director of Parks and Recreation to establish a program to allow for improved stewardship of cultural sites in city parks. Members, we distributed a hand-carried proposed CD2 to the bill that I submitted identified as OCS 2026-0504/8/24/2026 3:35 p.m., which makes the following amendments, and it is attached on, I believe you guys have copies of all of this. So if you have any questions, we can go over that during discussion. With us, we have the Director of Department of Parks, Director Thielen. Oh, Kehau, thank you.
Kalamai, yes, that's me. So, sorry, did you mention the
Yeah, so
CD2?
I suggested the proposed CD2.
Okay,
Yep, so it amends ROH Section 10-6.1, adds a new definition for State Historic Preservation Division, and then it amends Section 10-6.2, changing the requirement to identify the cultural site to instead require draft stewardship plan for the cultural site as part of the application, amending the subparagraph to require a list of stewardship activities to be included as part of the proposed stewardship plan, adding a subparagraph that specifies that the applicant must indicate as part of the draft stewardship plan the capacity to organize and carry out such plans. And then it goes through some language changes and then delete some sections that aren't relevant, and then some miscellaneous and technical non-substantive amendments.
Mahalo, Kalamai, about that. Yes, so was able to review it and actually appreciate the amendments that are proposed here. So we have no comments at this time to say mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. Clerks, are there any in-person or online registered testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Are there any persons in the chamber or online wishing to testify? Seeing none, council members, we are in discussion. Seeing no discussion, the chair recommends that Bill 31, CD1 be amended to the hand-carried proposed CD2, identified as OCS 2026-0504/8. The chair recommends that Bill 31, 2026, CD1 be amended to the hand-carried proposed CD2, identified as OCS 2026-0504/8/24/2026, 3:35 p.m. Is there any discussion, objections, reservations? Seeing none, the bill is amended to CD2. The chair then recommends that Bill 31, 2026 CD2 be reported out for passage on third reading. Any further discussion, objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 8, Bill 32, CD1. Bill 32, 2026, CD1, relating to public parks, recreation facilities, and botanical gardens, amending provisions to the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021 to repeal certain specific fees and charges for the use of parks, facilities, and gardens, authorize the Director of Parks and Recreation to establish fees and charges by rule for commercial and non-commercial uses under DPR jurisdiction, require fees and charges collected be deposited into a fund designated by DPR. Members, please note we also posted on the agenda a proposed CD2 identified as OCS 2026-0459/8/3/2026, 9:26 a.m., and a summary of the amendments was posted. But wait. We also distributed carried proposed CD2, and this is because this is a companion bill to something we discussed earlier. But I submitted this so that we are in congruence with what we voted on earlier, identified in OCS 2026-0525/8/24/2026, 3:54 p.m., which makes the following amendments. So in this one that you guys have in front of you, it amends ROH section 10-2.1 to clarify in the third paragraph that fees and charges referred to are the fees and charges established by the Director of Parks and Recreation, to add community garden fees, remove camping fees to the list of fees that may be established by the Director of Parks and Recreation. So that will retain with us here in the council. And it also adds a fifth paragraph that states the Director of Parks and Recreation shall not establish fees or charges for any program, facility, or service under the jurisdiction of the Department of Enterprise Services unless otherwise designated, since there are enterprise services entities in some of our parks. Okay, we have with us the Director of Parks, Laura Thielen.
Thank you, council members. Laura Thielen on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation. It has been a long and winding road to get to this point. We appreciate the amendments and support all of them, including the ones that were hand carried in today, because we certainly do not want to disrupt the Hanauma Bay Special Fund or the Department of Enterprise Services revenues that they generate. So I'd be happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Council members, questions for the Director. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Director. Does that mean specifically to the concessions that DES oversees?
Yes, there's a number of concessions that DES is managing and overseeing, and is actually initiated on park property. So that includes like the Waikiki Beach Boys, the Barefoot Beach Cafe, a number of other concessions. They would retain all of the revenues from the concessions that they do, either under the current concession agreements or future concession agreements that they have for those locations. The only current operation that DES is doing where they would not retain concessions is for Hanauma Bay.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. I was going to ask
Because that is under
that.
the court order, yes, the revenues from Hanauma Bay need to stay at Hanauma Bay.
Okay, understood. Other than the concessions, are there any other fees that DES oversees that are on parks property?
Not on parks property to my awareness.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Director. Thank you, Chair.
Yep, no problem. So these fees would go into the special fund we discussed earlier today, and that's why the amendment was hand carried in, so that what we passed in budget will match what we're passing here. Council members, any further questions for the director? Okay, seeing none. Clerks, are there any registered in-person or online testifiers?
Chair, there are no in person, but we have one online.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll take Mr. Donald Sakamoto.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Donald Sakamoto again, a longtime resident of Kaneohe. I also participate in the neighborhood board. I'm a board member. I'm speaking on my behalf. As a resident near the Botanical Omiya Botanical Gardens, I've been to 3 meetings with Justin Sands to talk about the upgrade of our park here. As you may not know, my road was closed during March 13th from the first corner of Loki on Oli Road. We had to use a detour to this park. And the tours are terrible, but we need to have fees to be implemented to help the park because the trees are dying. The coconut tree rhinoceros is just killing everything, and everything else needs some money. It's 400 acres, 9 people work there. So I fully support this bill because I want to see the park thrive, and we need money. And this is one way for the director to implement this program. So I appreciate my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sakamoto. Are there any other persons in person or online if you want to raise your hand to testify? Seeing none, testimony is now closed. Members, we are in discussion. Seeing no discussion, the chair recommends that Bill 32, 2026 be amended to the hand-carry proposed CD2 identified in OCS 2026-0525-8/24/2026 3:54 p.m. Are there any objections, reservations? Hearing none, the bill is now amended to CD2. The chair then recommends that Bill 32, 2026 CD2 be reported out for passage on 3rd reading. Any further discussion? Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 9, Bill 18 CD1 relating to affordable housing, amending various development and building construction standards and other requirements and benefits for affordable housing projects developed under Chapter 32 of the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021. Members, please note that we posted on the agenda 2 proposed CD2s, OCS 2026-0505/8/18/2026, 3:13 p.m. submitted by Councilmember Weyer. OCS 2026-0484/8/18/2026, 3:36 p.m. that I submitted. Summaries of the amendments were also posted. We also distributed a hand-carried proposed CD2 that is submitted identified as OCS 2026-0527/8/25/2026, 8:36 a.m., which makes the following amendments listed on the documents on your desk. Councilmember Weyer, would you like to explain your CD?
Thank you, Chair. And honestly, first want to say mahalo to you for entertaining it and putting it on the agenda. I'll be deferring to you. I think that there's a lot of conversation that's gone on, so I withdraw it from consideration today. I think my hope is that we can continue the community engagement, but then I saw your council communication, so I'll leave us to discuss that however you deem appropriate. But mahalo again for all your work on this and then the community engagement that you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Weyer. I appreciate you submitting it so I can see your thoughts written. And of course, everyone in the room, there's so many people in this room who have submitted to me your comments written, and we're going to take more comments today. Don't worry. we have more time for everyone's comments. So I'm excited to show you guys that we made a PowerPoint. I know you weren't waiting for this, but you're gonna get it. So it's summarized of all the parts of Bill 18 that we have touched in Chapter 32. Because even I get confused on what exactly we're touching, so we need to go through it little by little by little so we can see where we got today, okay? So we will start off with where we're at, and then we'll also share like a few other things that are gonna be changed. Fear not everyone. We're not gonna pass out the bill today. We're gonna still take some amendments, but I want you guys to know that so much went into where we are today. Okay, so up here we have Bill 18. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you, wonderful slide, Turner. Presentation overview. We just want you guys to know that these are the things that we have gone over. So if we can go to the next slide, this whole bill came out of this Chapter 32, Bill 7 that was passed in 2019. So in 7 years, 189 units have been completed, and we are still falling short of the goal of where we kind of wanted to be, which was over 1,000 units. So there's 6 certificates of occupancy, 16 building permits have been issued, 35 are under review, and there's 59 total projects. So again, the units that have been built is 189. The idea for Bill 18 is that we want to get out as many units as we can while still being mindful of the fact that we need to build community and make sure that our neighborhoods are preserved. Next slide. These are the 6 projects that are occupied. So we have Ernest Street, we have Algaroba, Kinau, Puhue, we have Olive Avenue and Bishop Street. So you can kind of see here that the units vary, that the stories vary, and as well, some elevators, some have parking. So if you can see here on the Olive Avenue one, it has 36 on-site car parking with ADA stalls. Then for others, they have like nearby parking. Some have 5 on-site, so it varies greatly, but these are the 6 that are up and occupied. Next. These are the 4 bills, or the 3 bills, including my bill, that we're trying to bring together all of the different ideas that people had about Chapter 32 projects. So Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, Councilmember Okimoto and Weyer, and then Councilmember Nishimoto and Kia'aina. And I tried to kind of combine that to see if we could just touch the Chapter 32 once and try to see if we could entertain how to make the community better while at the same time trying to maximize the amount of units that we're able to build. Next. Okay, so since the time when we started till now, I've taken 21 meetings, whether it was in person or on Zoom, with developers in the community, agency visits, visiting buildings, and some of it started in May 2024 and it went all the way through today. So I just wanted to list down some of the people that we met with, and I tried to be very transparent on who I was seeing and who I was talking to so that you guys know. And if you feel like I need to talk to more people, I can always do that. Next. Here's the first one. So the lot size right now in Chapter 32, in this bill, it's suggesting that it go from 20 to 40,000 with the idea that the project would have more room to accommodate parking, ADA access, loading, utilities, and other site needs. The 20,000 square feet is a very, very tight lot, and for many people, it wasn't allowing them to actually build parking, which is really what we need in these urban areas. Next. The proposed change in the current version takes it from 60 to 75 feet, which is DPP's recommendation. So it is suggesting that it be 75 feet or the underlying zoning, whichever is greater. But in special districts, 60 feet or whatever is lower. I'll give an idea of what some of the special districts are. Diamond Head, Punch Bowl, Waikiki. So there's certain areas in Honolulu that don't want us to block the view, and that's why it has to be lower. So we retain the special district height allowances. Next. Setbacks. So if anyone does go higher, it has the same setbacks as any other building would have, that the higher it goes, that you have, you decrease the amount of impact on taller buildings and surrounding properties and streets. Next. It takes 4.0 FAR, which is floor area ratio. It keeps it 4.0, but in the primary urban center, it allows for 5.0, which is a little bit more density, which would allow for a little bit more units. Next. currently, the equation that's being used to suggest what the maximum amount of units is the the lot size times the FAR divided by 800. I'm not really sure where the equation came from, but that's what is in Chapter 32 now. So in Bill 18, we change it to the lot size divided by 120 for areas in high service bus areas, and the lot size divided by 130 for places that do not have as many bus stops or transit options. So you can see there, I did a little calculation of what the difference would be, and it allows for a few more units to be built using the new equation. Next. Okay, so there's no specific efficiency dwelling unit standard, but if you guys are familiar with the code, in Chapter 16 and 18A, it references efficiency dwelling units, but we don't have any standard within Chapter 32. So Bill 18 adds in 170 square feet for the minimum of habitable area that does not include hallways, bathrooms, or other areas. So it's going to be much bigger than that. That's just the habitable area. Next. Maximum building area. So right now, Chapter 32 states 80% building area limit. In Bill 18, it removes the 80% building area limit and requires yards and other development standards still apply. Next. Okay, currently in Chapter 32, there is no parking required. After walking Makiki and various areas of Councilmember Nishimoto's and Dos Santos Tan district, it is very, very apparent that we need to require some type of parking. So in Bill 18, it suggests that where any building has more than 60 units, that the bottom floor be used to the maximum extent possible for parking. That doesn't include, like, some of them need an elevator shaft, or maybe they need something for trash. That's still allowed, but the maximum amount of the bottom floor needs to be allowed for parking. Next. There's no current requirement for any type of management. It has been very apparent that the ability to discuss with the developer or the owner of the building how things could be improved is necessary. So Bill 18 now has inside of it required professional property management and a 24-hour emergency contact that is public. So it could be on the website or it could be posted on the building. Next. The fire and building safety standards. So right now in Chapter 32, there is separate fire, sprinkler, fire resistance, and construction standards. In Bill 18, we're removing the specific construction and fire standards while retaining selected standards, including underrated window flexibility. Next. Exit stairs. Currently in Chapter 32, it states that it only needs to be 36. HFD has testified, as well as the building code has stated, that it should be 44. I know it sounds crazy that we're arguing over 8 inches, but we need to keep it at the building code 44, and all the developers have agreed that this is where we need to be. Next. There's no specific loading space requirement for refuse. This is an issue because for some buildings, making sure that they can pull out the refuse to the street or have a place for people to come in and grab refuse and come out. So in Bill 18, there is more specification about refuse collection. Next. Okay, so these are the things that are gonna stay, meaning that they have not been changed. So the eligible zoning has not been changed. The fact that every unit has to be 80% AMI has not changed. Affordability period for 15 years has not changed. Rental protections, a minimum 6-month lease, no subleasing has not changed. Federal requirements has not changed. Elevators, when triggered by the applicable code, has not changed. And the program sunset of June 1st, 2030 has not changed. So that's all still gonna stay, and that was in Chapter 32 currently. Next. So these are the 3 things that I'm suggesting that we work on between now and the next committee. Is 1, maybe more precision for where the increased heights will be, and we can discuss that later. 2, a grandfather clause, so if the bill passes, that people who are in current progress won't be deterred or have to change what they're doing based upon the new law. And lastly, the building standards, which I know the carpenters testified on and a few people brought up, and we're still going to incorporate edits in those 3 areas. Next. All right, So the key here is we welcome your feedback. Wonderful. Okay, let's have the administration come up, and then council members will go through questions, and then we'll go straight into testimony and then discussion. So with us, we have Director Dawn Apuna.
Aloha, Chair, members of the committee, thank you. So I will provide our comments on the two versions, your version as well as Councilmember Weyer's.
Thank you.
And just real quickly, so for the height, we actually like how it's stated in Weyer's version, that the underlying zoning protects the special districts and focuses the 75-foot height allowance in the PUC, DP, and TOD areas. For the FAR, we do prefer the version that allows the 5.0 FAR in the PUC, DP, and retains 4.0 everywhere else. And we do also like that for non-residential uses, it's required for commercial development in the B1 and B2 districts. As for height setbacks, we prefer the language that requires height setbacks for the taller buildings, which requires height setbacks for buildings over 75 feet. And as far as off-street parking, we do prefer that there isn't a parking requirement. For off-street loading, we do like the language about public curbside refuse collection, and which the other bill does not have any language about. And then as far as yard encroachments and fencing, we do prefer the language about corner lots that we had asked for. And then we do also appreciate the amendments to the building code such that prescriptive fire sprinkler requirement is deleted and the building construction standards follow the building code except for the rated window requirement. However, DPP does recommend limiting the open stairway in section CA to apply to buildings more than 60 feet high. A larger, taller building footprint with more occupants may take longer to escape. Thus, an enclosed stairwell will prevent smoke exposure. And then as far as the proposed changes to the grants, we understand that the post-construction grant would see significant increases in grant amounts, and then the pre-construction would see a slight increase. Our basic response to that is just as long as there's enough money or funds for those grants, we are supportive. At this time, we can report that for the pre-construction grant, we're looking at $3.5 million that has been and will be likely issued for fiscal years 23 through 27, if not more. And then for the that was the post-construction grant, 3.534. And then for the pre-construction, we are looking at distributing at least $3.95 million for fiscal year 27. So our budget was cut this past budget for these Bill 7 grants. So our only concern is just have enough money in order for us to issue these grants, whether they are increased in amounts or not. And that's all I have, and we're here for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just clarify a few things she said. So Councilmember Weyer, the verbiage that she brought up, we can consider it in the next draft. Every other thing that you brought up was in our draft, so we're gonna retain that. We did actually add in one of the hand carries that we were gonna take out B1, B2. So B1, it limits to 40 feet because it's business residential, right? And then B2, it varies. Sometimes 60s, sometimes lower. It's very different in different areas. But Councilmember Waters was concerned about Waialae Ave. I know we discussed making sure that there's still commercial preserved. Many developers said that if there was still commercial required, it wouldn't be really advantageous for them to develop in that area. So just letting you guys know that that part was in the most current draft. But everything else I hear what you're saying, and just for the council members' information, I did not touch anything with the grants, but she's reporting that number so that if we do increase the amount of units, that we're aware of how much money is allowed for these projects. Okay, any questions for the director? Councilmember Weyer.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to ask, can we get that in writing?
Sure, about the grants.
I would say
Everything.
all of it, because I saw you reading, but I don't think it came in as testimony, which
Yes.
I'm fine with. But just we'll just cross-check it against the prior submission and then kind of go from there.
Yes, we'll provide it to the committee and the members.
Okay, mahalo,
Thank
Director.
you. Council members, other questions for the director? Seeing none, thank you very much, Director. DHLM, would you guys like to share? No? Okay, thank you very much. All right, with that being said, members, I'm going to take testimony. We'll go into discussion. Okay, clerks, can we take registered in person? I think we have Brian Mick. Oh, there.
Hello, good afternoon, Chair Tupola and committee members. I'm Brian Mick here on behalf of the Disability and Communication Access Board and our interim executive director, Christine Pagano. We had submitted testimony in support of Councilmember Weyer's proposed CD2. Specifically, we support the requirement for an elevator in any building 40 feet or taller. We had suggested alternate language which would resemble the language found in both the ADA and the International Building Code, which refers to stories instead of height. We would like to reemphasize that we don't think it's a good public policy when we use taxpayer funds to subsidize housing that some taxpayers would physically never realistically be able to live in. Chair Tupola pointed out in an earlier hearing and today that many of the projects under Bill 7 have voluntarily included elevators. That does show that requiring elevators does not make these projects too costly to actually develop. But not all projects have them, and in the future, a slight worsening in construction or financing causes could cause the developer to exclude them. So it's important that this be a government mandate and that a decision made by a developer doesn't condemn a project to be inaccessible for decades.
Thank you, Mr. Mick. If you can wrap up.
Sure. Just a quick add that the IBC, which is what I think is now sort of defaulted to in the version of the bill, uses the term an accessible floor in a building that it has 4 or more stories above the level of discharge, which equals a 5-story building. So if we're going 10 feet per floor, that would be 50 feet. And again, it would have to be an accessible floor. So you'd have to have a common area on one of the higher floors in order to trigger the elevator requirement. So I'm presuming that a lot of these projects are not going to be having function rooms, pools, or gymnasiums located on the 5th floor or above. So they would not be required to have an elevator as currently written. So again, we would support putting in a specific elevator requirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mick. We have Damian Waikoloa.
Chair, testifier is not logged on.
Okay, we have Gina Thielen.
Aloha Chair, members of the committee, my name is Gina Thielen. In light of the fact that the bill is going to be deferred for 1 more month, I'll stand on written testimony. But I did want to share that you can add 2 more projects to your slide that just got their certificate of occupancies and 125 more units.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing. We have Mr. Sam Kim.
Aloha, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sam Kim with the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters. Testifying in opposition to Bill 18. We'll be standing on our written testimony, but something I'd like to reiterate is we greatly appreciate the commitment that this committee has for affordable housing and the intent of this bill to expand on Bill 7, which has been such a crucial tool for this county to produce more affordable housing. But it's for that very reason that we are concerned with this bill. We believe changes of this magnitude require a little bit more of a thorough examination and careful consideration so as not to upset the careful balance that's struck by Bill 7. Furthermore, we believe that a couple key issues raised by DBP, as well as some of the recommendations that were highlighted by the UHERO study, are yet to be properly addressed in the current and proposed drafts. So we appreciate this committee's decision to wait on this measure so that we may wait on some more concrete facts before implementing any changes. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Just for clarification, we've worked on this bill for over a year, and there's been a lot of thoughtful consideration. Hundreds of hours have gone into this. So I'm past the philosophical point. I'm at the point where we just need specific words, verbiages, and phrases. Will your organization send me any specific changes that you guys would like to see?
Yeah, so we can communicate with you.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be the best thing at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Tony Wong Kam.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Tony Wong Kam. I'm with Cardinal Pacific Residential. We are the property management subsidiary of Center Urban Real Estate. I'm here to support the proposed CD2 that Councilmember Weyer has introduced and provide comments on top of the written testimony. I'll focus more on the property management side of things. I know Martin has a lot of comments on the testimony related to development standards, but I'm happy to share that we are the property manager for 2051 Yonge Street. We just got certificate of occupancy in July. 36 units that we welcomed into the pipeline, and as of September 1st, we were happy to announce we have 34 out of 36 people occupied. You know, when we started leasing up in July, before we got CFO, we had a really good marketing strategy to reach as many people. We received over 500 applications, countless of inquiries on Zillow and other platforms that we have. And what we found in our leasing is that, at 80%, it's great, but we can always do better. There's more comments on my written testimony that we can always share and provide commentary to, but thank you guys for your hard work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Any questions for the testifiers? Seeing none, Mr. Lee.
Hey, aloha, Chair and committee members. First of all, that was a great presentation. Thank you so much. Your thoughtful effort is so appreciated. But I stand here today, Spencer Lee, SVP of Operations with JL Capital. So we develop and operate affordable housing projects using Chapter 32. And I am here today in strong support of CD2 and urge the committee to adopt it, in the next meeting. So 3 points specifically: the building height of up to 75 feet, or the underlying zoning, whichever is greater, is wonderful, as well as a reduction to 60 feet in special districts makes a lot of sense. The floor area ratio going from 4 to 5 within the primary urban center development plan area, that ensures that the added height, it converts into actual living space. So this is a key feature that is very important, as opposed to building taller buildings that just end up being emptier, essentially. And the last provision that I'm very much in favor of is the maximum number of units. So if we allow the number of units to be based on the lot size divided by 130 or 120 within a high bus zone area, that makes a lot of sense because we already have transit there, so we should be putting people close to that transit. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. And are there any other persons in the chamber wishing to testify? If so, just please come up and introduce yourself.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Lee Wang, the Executive Director for Housing Hawaii's Future. We are here in support of Bill 18, specifically Councilmember Weyer's version MW3, and have comments on Chair Tupola's version. 2 notes. The first one, the cap on special districts feels like an arbitrary carve-out to preserve neighborhood character at the cost of people. The housing problem belongs to everyone, yet we keep making exceptions. However, the most egregious issue seems to be the untouched pre- and post-construction subsidies. In Chair's version, there's no adjustment for these subsidies, meaning that we've incentivized our efficiency units. A 170 square foot unit and a 800 square foot unit both get the same $50,000 pre-construction subsidy. And this is a crazy and high inefficient use of that subsidy. The current smallest legal unit at 220 square feet gets a subsidy at $230 per square foot. And the efficiency unit gets a subsidy at $300 per square foot. The unit shrinks 30%, the subsidy increases 35%. And the city ends up paying more per square foot for less housing per unit. At least Councilmember Weyer's version scales this based off of grades in size and gives proportionate FAR island-wide. So there's more building to put the units in. So we do love housing, we do love Bill 7, we do love the home builders, but we want to make sure there's efficient use of the subsidy so that, because if we aren't, we're opening our checkbook and possibly inadvertently building less housing with more money. Yeah. Thank you, committee, for entertaining our comments.
Sorry, can I ask some follow-up questions? Thank you. Can I get your first and last name and your organization one more time, please?
Lee Wang, Housing Hawaii's Future.
Okay. And then just the very first part of your testimony, you said something about, no, it was about the special area, something. Can you say that?
Special districts?
Yeah, can you say that one more time, just that little section?
Sure. The special districts feels like a carve-out for preservation of neighborhood character when it's a little arbitrary. This issue of affordable housing belongs to all neighborhoods. So, you know, certain neighborhoods being carved out of this doesn't feel great.
Okay, I heard it. Thank you so much. And thank you for your comments. We look forward to having any of that written if you want to send it to me or if you've already submitted in testimony. And then Article 4 and 5, everything that has to do with the incentives, Chair Waters has decided that we are going to address it in a budget bill. So separately than this, because it is going to affect the underlying budget that we have to work with for the city. So
Great to hear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other persons wishing to testify? Pop up now. Okay, Director, go ahead.
Actually, so we wanted to share, we have a map that'll show you like the current areas that would allow for Bill 7 projects, as well as if we scaled to 40,000 square feet.
Okay, go ahead, Director. Okay. Sorry, I also have to take online testimony. So
okay, sorry, I'll be real fast. But this is something that a resource for you to use and for the community to see. On the far left is the current, under Bill 7, the black areas where these projects could be developed. And then the second one is for 40,000 square feet. And then the third is the difference between the two. So the third would be the additional areas where Bill 7 projects could be. So this is just a useful tool to see the potential based on the proposed amendments in the current bill currently and otherwise. So just want to share that. Thank you.
Director, is there a place where we can access this online, or are you just going to include a link in your testimony?
We will provide a link, probably with all the other information that Councilmember Weyer asked for. So we can do that.
Yeah, is that good? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Director. Okay, clerks, let's take online testifiers. Are there any online registered testifiers?
Donald Sakamoto, Chair.
Aloha, Mr. Sakamoto. You can go ahead and unmute. Oh, Mr. Sakamoto, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Could you please unmute?
Hey, Chair, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Please proceed.
Oh, thank you. It's very difficult. Donald Sakamoto, for the record, as a blind senior who supports the bill. But the intent, I like Councilmember Weyer's version of CD2 and the testimony that people in favor of it with CD2, like Brian Mick and others. The thing is, the elevators are most important for us people who are disabled and the elderly. As we get old, it's very difficult to walk up and down. And we don't know when we might have a stroke or lose our eyesight like myself. So important, and the stairways are better to be wider so we can have our fire department take us down safely when there's a fire, which we can't walk. And then another thing, I deal with public transportation, handy van. There should be enough curb cuts at these building sites so that when they drop you off on the back of the van, there's a ramp to go into the unit on the safely on the side. But I fully support and I look forward for the next discussion in your committee about this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. Clerks, anyone else online wishing to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have one other comment, then we can go to discussion, committee members, and if you guys have questions, we can bring people back up. Director Apuna, the last time you presented to our, I think it was to zoning committee, you had a little chart of how many projects in each council district. I'll read it, and then if maybe the next hearing, if you can give it to me, I can put it into the slides so that we can just review that. So back then, March 2026, in my district, I had 0. Councilmember Weyer had 3. Councilmember Kiana had 4, Chair Waters had 5, Councilmember Nishimoto 38, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam 8, Councilmember Cordero 0, Councilmember Okimoto 1, and Councilmember Toba 0. And a lot of this has to do with, well, I shouldn't say everything, but some of us that have 0, because our 80% AMI in our area is so low, there's a lower likelihood of people wanting to do the projects in our district. But do you think you could bring us updated numbers on this table?
Yes, we'll bring that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that being said, we're in discussion. Yeah. So I'm gonna recommend that we, amend to the CD2 so that we can let it sit, so that you guys have the final version of what it's gonna say, and then you guys can have time to read it, and then you guys can bring forward more amendments, since some of this is like as of 3:35. So I'm gonna amend it to the hand-carried CD, and then do one small verbal amendment. We'll let it sit, and then you guys will have time to review. And it's most important during this time that any other amendments be written and given to me. So like I said, we've had multiple meetings with DPP, with various developers. Some of the people who testified today, we haven't. We're still open to more meetings. So in the next committee hearing, I really feel like it's necessary for us to kind of come up with what the last version is gonna be. I will say that the neighborhood board members in Makiki were so kind to me, and they had people waiting at every corner to talk to me, and it was super important. I can't emphasize how important it is, guys, that we have parking. I know that it's not recommended, but I'm telling you that in some of these small neighborhoods, it was very, very difficult because they already have a parking situation, which means that I think on a larger scale in the city and county of Honolulu, we have to think about municipal parking lots in these areas where we want more units, but maybe even taking some of the bike lanes at night for parking, because it's really that necessary for some of these areas where they need to access their dwelling units, and we want people to live in these urban cores where they're close to places that they live. So with that being said, is there any other discussion that you guys want to have so that I can hear it prior to next committee hearing? Go ahead, Councilmember Weyer.
I guess a part of discussion, and I'm just kind of curious on the parking side, and more of a folks' thoughts, because I know that, I mean, that's what discussion means, but I know we're often just sharing. We don't actually discuss all the time, but because like, I think one of the big hangups for me previously on the parking was just that in the primary urban center, we don't require parking for market rate units. So then it was just kind of strange to me to say, oh, but if it's affordable, then you have to include parking. And so I'm just curious from the discussions with the community, because you did a lot of the on the ground work. So like kind of the feedback on like they're saying directly they're seeing more units from this affordable project. I'm assuming like if they build a market rate project there with the same number of units, like there'd also be additional parking. But do we think there's some nexus to the type of housing, or we're just seeing a lot of congestion, and that just kind of throwing it out there so I better understand.
Yeah, so I guess for the ones that I walked around, I actually talked to people who live around the area,
Perfect,
right?
yeah.
So not the people who live in, but I did talk to lots of people who live inside the building, but I went to the people who live outside the building. And many of the buildings, like you said, some of the market rate ones, they have their own specifications, but many of the market rate ones that I saw around already had parking. So they had either a parking structure or they had at least like 9 or 12 stalls within their building. I will say about 75% of the Bill 7 projects that I saw already had parking without the mandate. They already were using the bottom floor for parking. They thought that it was the best for the area so that people wouldn't have to go far or walk the streets at night to kind of get home. Secondarily, I would say that I guess my concern in the urban area, and I can't, this bill isn't going to touch parking for all types of housing projects is that, when you live in a low income area, so you don't really have, a lot already, right? You're trying to get into a unit where you can afford, but that you're trying to get around so you can get what you need. I would say that the convenience for the people that live within there being considered, because some of the Bill 7 projects I saw, they charge for the parking, some don't. So on top of the rent they're paying, they're also paying for a stall. So it's the consideration I think that we need to give, because we're trying to get up affordable housing projects that are building community. And even in the buildings I went to that didn't have parking, many of the tenants inside asked me, why is there not? Because we really feel like we would rather be able to park here near our unit, take up our groceries, be able to access it without having to go 5 blocks down. But this issue for many of the areas where the buildings are being built existed before Bill 7. So it's not even like Bill 7 made it happen. Some of the areas of Pensacola, they're very congested. And then of course there's the bike lane that took away some more parking. So there's a myriad of things that is not my district, but I think it's worth considering, because many of the residents in those areas told me that the whole community changed. Like everything changed. And people have moved away because of how much density has been brought in an area where they already had hard issues with people being able to access it. So I felt for them. I really did, because I think for some of them, I met with one family. They lived there since 1960, and their little tiny old home is right next to a new building. And they've been, very open talking to the neighborhood board members. But I think for people who have basically said, this is my home, I'm going to live in Makiki forever, or wherever it is, I think taking into consideration that they already had limited space to move around, a brand new building pops up, and then all of a sudden there's 50 more people looking for stalls when already there was 25 every night looking for it. So I want to say in some of these areas, especially in urban Honolulu, we really have to think about the severity of infrastructure needs, because it wasn't just the parking. In some areas, there's no electricity that's running up their street either. They also don't have any sewers, and they don't have any sidewalks. So I think with the whole infrastructure lacking in areas where new buildings are popping up, that's something that perhaps DHLM has to take into consideration, that we on the city side have to provide these things before we just plop down buildings everywhere. Are we gonna improve the sidewalks? Are we gonna improve the electricity access into the area? Are we gonna improve a 5-way stop that existed before the building got there that's still super dangerous for people to cross and drive through? So that's just some of my thoughts.
No, I appreciate that, because I empathize. I never got more parking tickets than when I lived on the corner of Eisenberg and Lime Street in this little 2-story walk up, because there's nowhere to park. And you're hugging, you're like, okay, am I too close to the corner? Am I too close to the stop sign? So I empathize, but I just wanted to kind of share my reasoning for that being an issue for me, but I do understand where you're coming from. But mahalo for the discussion and all the work that you've been putting in.
Yeah, thank you. And I did feel like by allowing for a little bit more density, but also requiring some of the parking, it's kind of a give and take. I really wasn't able to make everybody happy, and no one's going to be happy with, 100% happy with the final version. But I think if we can just make it better, there's only a few more years left of this program. We need to make sure that we're building community wherever we go, so that people want to live there and that people who are around there also feel like they were taken into consideration. Other comments, questions, thoughts? Councilmember Cordero?
You already know what I'm going to say about off-street parking.
I sure do. I sure do.
So I feel like I don't have
your
to.
mind.
Yes, thank you. So I won't have to repeat that fully. So I am probably one of those people who won't be actually fully happy, because I wouldn't want to see these requirements added. And I know that my colleagues on these sides probably don't agree with me, or probably actually everyone may not agree with me, but I'm not really happy that we're not abiding by that TOD requirement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Councilmember.
For discussion, I agree. I think we just make the bus free, and then it's a lot easier for us to encourage people to get out of their cars. But
Chair, I agree.
Well, I will say in some areas that I visited, there is no bus stops there. So I would hate to see that we make an overall blanket thing like, oh, you guys get all free bus passes. Okay, but you got to walk 2 miles. Good luck, but free bus pass. So like I said, nobody's going to be 100% happy when this is done, but I feel for the people in these areas, and whether or not we pass this bill or we don't, the projects are going to continue to happen. So we have to just take into consideration what is the best way that we can birth the rest of these projects, get some more units out, but make sure that we're considering all aspects of it, from safety, fire code, to DPP's millions of reviews for each of it. Because some of the building standards, when we put so many, it makes the DPP review longer and harder because we're changing so many small things that they're looking into, from the flooring to the walls to the window, that in other projects they don't have to look through. So I'm not saying we're trying to convenience DPP 100%, because you guys are the entity that has to prove it, but you're a part of it, right? So their opinions matter, the community's opinions matter. So thank you guys for understanding that I'm trying my best to see if we can get a way out of here. Okay, so my recommendation is that Bill 18 CD1 be amended to the hand carry proposed CD2 identified as OCS 2026-0527-8/25/2026 8:36 a.m. And I'm going to do one verbal amendment, but don't worry, guys, it's going to sit so you guys can read this after. The verbal amendment is going to strike, and that it be further amended to delete as defined in the land use ordinance from the off-street parking requirement on page 4 of the bill. Okay, hold on. So basically that little component is going to preserve what we wrote in for parking, as opposed to the land use requirement, which is a per unit requirement for stalls. Okay, any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Oh, wait, objections, sorry, I forgot. No for Councilmember Nishimoto.
Same.
No for Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll do reservations just to, because not everyone's in this room, so in there, you know, but to note my concerns with some of the things we've talked about in terms of the differences, but understand it's just for a review.
Okay, so Councilmember Weyer, reservations. Councilmember Tupola, okay, thank you. We'll go reservations. With that being said, the chair recommends that we adjourn. So any announcements? Seeing none? Oh, we have to postpone. The chair recommends that Bill 18 CD2 be postponed to a date and time to be determined by the committee chair. Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Mahalo everyone for being here. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.